Good evening, everyone. Welcome to OSA Friday for Females. I'm here with Michelle from Radiant Healing. Welcome. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well. I'm thankful that you were able to make it on tonight. So thank you for that.
I'm so thrilled you asked me.
Of course. So for everyone who's watching, you can go ahead and comment, but we will leave our responses to the end of the interview so that you can just hear what we have to say this evening. So we'll go ahead and get started. So Michelle, how did you begin your business, Radiant Healing?
So it's Radiant Living, and I started Radiant Living a few years ago. My journey really kind of started off with a divorce, to be honest. I kind of went through that midlife crisis after getting divorced, and it was sort of just realizing that I was here for more than what I was doing. I'm still in corporate America, but I sort of felt a longing that there was so much more. It's sort of that meaning of life question where you're like, there has to be more to this. And so I kind of started on this sort of spiritual path where I was just taking classes about all these different topics and figuring out, what drew me and what was interesting to me. And after, talking to a lot of different people, everyone was like, why are you not doing healing work? Like that's your soul's purpose. And I was like, healing? I don't know what you're talking about. And so then one morning I kind of woke up during a meditation and spirit kind of slapped me upside the head and was like, you need to find a medical intuitive mentor. And so I did that day, and I worked with her for a long time. And then, so that's really how I started, was kind of a little hit or miss, because I originally started out thinking I was going to be a holistic life coach, and now I'm a medical intuitive, and I have completely found my passion in this lifetime. So
That's awesome. I mean, there's not many people who can say that can say like, hey, I found something that I love to do and it's my passion. Like, not many
yeah.
people can say like, that's the case. So that's great that you were able to find your passion. And it's funny because you never know like when the right person walks through the door. You just kind of have to be open and receiving to it. So that's
Always.
good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question is, what are some techniques to help calm someone's anxiety or stress, in your opinion? Especially right now, right? Like, I think
Especially right now.
everyone is like
Absolutely.
up here.
It really is. Like, people's stress levels are at an all-time high. And one of the easiest ways to sort of recenter yourself is through breathing. And so I always recommend taking 3 really deep sort of yoga in through the nose and exhale. And on the exhale, you breathe and think calm as you're exhaling, and you do it 3 times, and it just really kind of just centers you and helps you just get back into alignment and stop freaking out. Another great thing is sometimes if the weather's good and everything, just going outside for like a 5 or 10-minute walk and just looking at the birds and being really present, not, like thinking about all the thousands of things on your to-do list, but really just being in the now and looking around and being like, oh, I didn't know my neighbor changed their door color. It's that kind of thing where you are truly present in the moment. And that really helps bring your sort of stress levels down as well.
Yeah, and like while everyone is so worried about COVID, I think in a weird contorted way, it's also like a gift because it allows you to recenter in a lot of ways. Like it allows you to spend time with family that you may have not had previously. It allows you to take those nature walks that you may have not had the opportunity to do before. So, there's a silver lining to it in the sense that, hey, do go out and take those, 5-10 minute nature walks or bike rides or whatever it is.
It's funny because I'm kind of a bright side person. So even when stuff's like going wrong in my life at certain times, I try and bright side it. And so it's always sort of thinking like, well, it could be worse. But not only that, but it really was kind of a gift to the universe a little bit, that it helped us all slow down and in some ways, it's really helped us become a bigger community. It helped us to slow down and appreciate the things that we have and appreciate the people that do things that we don't normally appreciate. It's those grocery store workers. It was all the nurses and the doctors that we just take for granted. And it allowed us to truly see and appreciate all of the work that they really do and how integral they are to our daily lives. But it also helped the world reset a little bit. I know that right now with forest fires in California and everything, it's a little bit different. But I mean, after everybody went into quarantine, I mean, like if you looked at China and India and their smog levels went down, and
Yeah.
it just sort of gave the earth a little bit of a reset too. So I kind of looked at it like, okay, maybe Mother Nature knew a little bit better and needed us all to kind of just settle down a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it has its own way of handling it, right? So,
Yes.
um, how would you define intuition, and
Mm.
how do you personally use it to judge character or situations?
So intuition, that's an interesting thing. It's sort of that inner knowing. It's the gut feeling that you have, right? And everyone is intuitive. It's not just for psychics. It's not for
Yeah.
just the woo. Everyone has it. It's that mother's intuition. It's the gut feelings you get when you walk into a room and you go, "Ooh, there's something shady is going on around here," and you can use it all the time. And by developing it, it can really help you in your life. Just because you develop your intuition doesn't mean you have to go out and become a psychic medium. No, everybody has the gift. Everybody has the tools in their toolbox. It's just whether or not they feel like opening the box up or not. Um, and so there's a few different ways. So there's four main clairs. It's clairvoyance is the one that sort of most people know about, which is clear seeing, and that's sort of where people see pictures and things like that. But a lot of people are clairsentient, which is clear feeling. It's that gut feeling. It's the feeling of those people that are empaths, where they take on other people's emotions and they sort of are like, there's something wrong, like you're in a very bad mood without that person even speaking. It's
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But you can use it to your advantage, really, because you have those. If you walk into a room and you can be like, the same thing goes as when you're drawn to a certain person, right? If you see a person in a business setting, like at a networking event or something, and everyone is around them engaged and listening to what they have to say, like their energy is drawing people to them because they're this beautiful bright light, and it's sort of their high vibration, there's just this beautiful shiny light, and people are drawn to that. And so if you listen and pay attention, and slow down, because intuition is a very subtle thing. Um,
Hmm.
it can be everything from seeing that 11:11 on your clock every single time it pops through, that it can be something on the radio where you're thinking
Yeah.
about maybe your father who passed away, and then all of a sudden this song comes on and it reminds you of them. And it's those little things that just reminds you that that there's a lot going on in the background that we don't know about. But if you listen and pay attention and are quiet and slow your brain down a little bit and pay attention to it, it can really help you and deliver real true guidance through this life.
That's awesome. That's great. I mean, and you're right. I mean, you don't have to be like a psychic for
No.
that to be the case. Like mother's intuition, like
Mhm.
that's the saying. Like mom's gut feeling. Don't do this, do that. I mean, that's basically it, and you just
Yeah.
apply that to all of your life. But I like the fact that you said like slowing yourself down. I think that's so important. Like to just say,
Hmm.
okay, take a step back.
Yeah.
And be at ease and
Hmm.
pace yourself.
Yes. And anytime somebody who has maybe, where you've gotten off at the wrong exit and it turned out to be like the story you were looking for happened to
Yeah.
be right there, and you're like, oh, or you missed, or you accidentally get off the freeway and you're just getting mad, and then you realize there was an accident up ahead. It's that kind of stuff, right? It's sort of, you
Yeah.
just know it's really a miracle when stuff like that happens,
Yeah.
and people kind of discount it and they're like, well, that was a coincidence.
Yeah, but
It
it's
wasn't a
really not.
coincidence.
Yeah. No, it makes sense because I mean, I always like to say like nothing happens for no reason. It's because every interaction, everything that always happens, there's always a reason behind it, and you might not know that reason at that moment, but eventually that reason would come, and
Hmm.
and you need to, and that's an open door opportunity for you to learn from it. So,
Exactly. And I mean, honestly, we're all here to like learn and to grow.
yeah.
That's what we're here for. We're here to grow as a person, right? And
Yeah.
if you stay the same and you don't learn any of the lessons, there's a reason why hardship is in our lives sometimes. And some of it is it's truly a lesson. There's certain reasons why people bring, why certain people are brought into your life.
Yeah.
And, I'm divorced, but I'm grateful for the journey that I'm on. I wouldn't be where I am without it. I have two beautiful children that I wouldn't have without it. And he taught me some very good lessons about sort of who I am and who I want to be, and how I want to show up in the world. So it allowed me to learn a lot of great things.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, that you can take something negative and find the positive in everything as long as you look for it.
Absolutely.
So, are there any podcasts, YouTube videos that you can help, or you think that can help with being mindful and help reducing anxiety and stress?
Two of my favorite podcasts, actually I have a few, but the two ones that I listen to a lot is the Deborah Shepherd podcast, which is out of Australia. And actually her podcast is really all about how you create a meaningful life. And it gives you she has amazing guests that talk about just, how you can create little ways to improve sort of how you feel about your life and how you can change it for the better. I also love Emily Aaron's Aligned and Unstoppable podcast. She has a wealth of information as well, and a lot of it has to do with intuition and figuring out how you can grow as a person and utilize the information that's around you to just become a better person. And better is all, it's subjective. So it's just because, you're like, I'm already awesome. Yes, you are. Right. But we all are on a journey and we always are learning new things and growing and changing, and peeling back those layers of the onion, to get into sort of new different things that we can work on. So
yeah, it's so important, and that's great because I think self-reflection is always important, right? Like every day, or when you find yourself not being nice, or some people are reacting to you in a certain way and you don't understand why, like you always have to step back and be like, wait a second, like
yeah,
what's going on?
but the same is true when you don't, when you come across someone that sort of triggers you in a certain emotion, you kind of have to look at it because often they're mirroring something that you don't like about yourself.
Exactly.
And so sometimes it's a great way to uncover some a little bit of darkness that maybe you need to heal. And I don't mean darkness as in evil. It's just sort of like we all have shadows. We all have sort of good and bad. We're all yin and yang. We're all filled with light and dark. And so sometimes it helps to sort of reflect on, why is this person making me feel this way? Because chances are there's a piece of me that reacts that way in certain situations as well, and I need to learn from sort of why this person is creating this sort of feeling in me.
Yeah, and that's so true. And I think a lot of times it's our natural reaction to say, okay, it's their fault, or it's that person's fault, or it's that person's fault, and it's really, you can't really blame others, because that's who they are, and the only person you can change is yourself. And the only emotion you can control is your own. So
that is a thing I always tell so many people, is you can only control what you can control. You can control your actions, your reactions, your emotions, how you behave. You can't control COVID-19. You can't control all the things that other people are doing. The only thing that you literally have control over is you. Yeah. And the more you focus on that, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. And I think, so I like the podcast and the YouTube, or the podcast that you recommended, because I think that's in line with what we're talking about right now. Is it's about you, it's about your own personal growth, finding those gray areas for yourself, and learning to evolve them and become a better person.
Yep, so, absolutely.
What are the top 5 key pointers in meditation, and why do you believe it's so important?
Meditation, it really allows us just to slow down our minds. And meditation, there's a wealth, you can go look it up on Google, on all of the benefits of meditation. I will not tout all of its sort of amazing things, but some key things I think it's important for people to remember is, it doesn't need to be an hour-long thing. It can be 5 minutes of quieting your mind and just sort of recentering and figuring out this is what my intentions are for today. This is what I'm going to accomplish. These are my priorities. I think another thing is that for beginners, we're often intimidated because, again, our minds wander. So guided meditation, find some guided meditations to listen to, are amazing ways for our brain to sort of turn off and allows, like, because you're listening to someone else speak and they're telling us and they're usually taking you on a journey somewhere. And so it allows your conscious mind to kind of sort of be quiet a little bit. Another thing I think is that, you know, if meditation is really difficult for you, try different ways of meditating. There's lots of different ways to do it, including you can try walking meditation. So there's different, you can listen to a walking meditation while you're outside in the morning taking a beautiful walk. Also, I highly recommend journaling or automatic writing, especially for those who have a very busy mind and find it really difficult to sit still for a long time. Because for me, using pen to paper, it quiets my conscious mind and allows my subconscious or higher self to come through while I'm doing that, and get the messages that I need to hear, right? Because so I just kind of keep writing and I ask myself questions. I talk to my higher self. I'm like, okay, well, why am I stuck? What's going on? Why do I feel this way, right? And so it's spending some time with myself, but because my hand is moving, it's keeping the conscious mind busy because my hand is doing something, and it allows the rest of my brain to like switch into sort of that autopilot where I'm going to get the sort of that higher self, those intuitive sort of hits for messages that I need to hear, because I am a little ADD and my brain goes off in 1,000 directions. And so sometimes I'm not the best meditator. I will be the first to admit it. But try different things, really. It's really about kind of trial and error. And if you feel like it's not working for you, just try a different way or try a different time of the day, and try it in a different room. It really just kind of depends on sort of where you are and what you're doing. But even just taking 5 minutes, paying attention to your breath and just slowing down helps. It really helps with your stress levels. It helps with your anxiety, and just gets you back in touch with sort of who you are and recenters you.
That's important. I like the fact that, because I think a lot of people think of like, okay, you have to sit there and close your eyes and be in like crisscross applesauce, and figure out the breathing, and you know what I mean? Like that's what people imagine when they're meditating. But you're right. Like it can be in any capacity that allows you to just close the side conversations in your brain, So whatever you need to do to just shut it off for the night.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So who was or is your greatest inspiration?
My father, who's passed on for, I think it's almost 20 years now, he was my inspiration. I was a daddy's girl, total daddy's girl. But that being said, he went to college and worked a job at this, he did night school while he worked during the day, and he went from being like a janitor into like, a director of marketing for Kodak, and just I admired him so much, and he pushed me and really believed in me. And not that my mother didn't, she's amazing, but I think I just, it was that amazing sort of push, and that someone truly believed in me no matter what, and really encouraged me. And he was the one that was like, "You're really smart. Please don't get married and pregnant right out of college. Like you have so much more to give." And I was like, "Okay, Dad, I will do that." So I went and got my master's degree and did all sorts of things that, without his urging, I don't know if I would have done. So he was really inspirational for me, and yeah.
That's great. It's always nice to hear how like the daughter dads, and because dads are, a lot of times you hear how moms and daughters, how they connect, but it's also important to know that dads have a very important role too. Like they build that foundation of, hey, you're a tough kid, you're a tough girl,
Yeah.
and that's important to have in your back pocket, to know that if you set your mind to something, like you can do it.
Absolutely. Yes. He really was a driving force. And I'm a only girl in both sides of my family, so I'm the
Oh.
only feminine, any
Uh,
kind of like estrogen area in any side of my family. And so, he kind of was like, listen, just, it doesn't matter that you're a girl. You can do whatever, everything that these dudes can do, you can do. He also sort of fostered my love of football. And, you're out of Baltimore, is that right? Or in that area?
yeah, I'm in that area, so.
Okay. I'm a Washington football team fan, and I've been that fan since I was about 6 years old. And so I just I have this love, and he really just sort of helped me become the person that I am. And
Well,
yeah,
you should be happy, and he should be
he
happy
should,
because,
hopefully up there he's smiling down on me.
yeah. But I was just gonna say, your football teams won, last
They
weekend, I
won
believe it
against
was.
Philly. They sure did.
So you guys should be happy.
This year's a little strange, and the fact that they don't really have a mascot is kind of strange, but I'll
Yeah.
take it. I'll just, it's sort of, it's weird because I have all this Redskins gear, and I'm just like, well, now what am I going to do?
Yeah. So we'll find out, right?
Yes,
So,
someday.
so you have Radiant Living HLC. What pointers can you give women going into business or in business and wanting to grow and succeed? Like, what have you found would be helpful to pass on?
I think, one of them is always trust your gut, because we know, right? If something feels wrong, or if you're just like, it feels hard, right? And I don't mean challenging, I mean hard, right? If something doesn't feel right, like, pay attention to that, because chances are you might be going in the wrong direction. I think that as women, we often try to do a lot of things on our own. It's like, I'm independent and I can do it all. You don't have to do it all, right?
Yeah.
Find some people that are experts to help you. I learned that a lot recently. I'm in a mastermind group, but I've also reached out, and, there's so many groups now out on Facebook that,
Yeah.
you can find people that are experts on everything, and that you can join, and it's free, and they have great, amazing, useful information for you. And so, I'm not a pro at marketing and social media, but I've learned, and I've, muddled my way through, and now I'm a lot better. But it's because of these groups that, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. But if you ask, there's so many people out there that are like, oh, well, I can help you. I know, and so just not being afraid to ask for help and reaching out. And there's so many experts out there, YouTube videos, there's so much information now. I mean, we're so lucky to be in the age that we're in right now, with the amount of useful
Yeah.
information. I mean, I learned how to turn my sprinklers off the other day because we were getting snow, and I watched a YouTube video and was like, I can do that. And so, there's so much information out there. You don't have to do everything yourself. I think, if you can too, it's like, if you have someone who supports you, finding a mentor, finding someone who encourages you, who you can ask a lot of questions with, and who's maybe been on that journey, that, finding someone like that as well is super helpful. And even if they're not in your, your industry or your area, I think that you can really benefit from people who have had experiences similar to yours, and who can sort of help you with certain questions and things like that. So I think my biggest tips are really is, you don't have to do everything alone. Trust your gut, and find your people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. Like, that's really good advice. Just finding networks and being open to, learning from each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great advice to have. Well, I'm happy that we were able to pull this together, and
Yeah.
that you were able to share your knowledge. And again, Michele runs Radiant Living. So if you want to find her on Facebook, we'll put up a link. If you have questions, please put them into the chat. Otherwise, if you would like your business to be on an interview for OSA Friday for Females, let me know. But I had a great time with you, Michele, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much. It's such a great, I love what you're doing. I'm all about empowering women. I have a new Facebook group that's, you can heal yourself, which is truly about empowering women and how you can thrive by utilizing your intuition to figure out what's going on in your body and how you can heal it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm all for like empowering women and, supporting women, and I'm about cooperation instead of competition. So I really do appreciate all the beautiful work that you're doing to
Oh,
really raise
thank
all of us
you.
up. So thank you for having me on.
No problem. And please share that group of regarding empowering women. I'd love to have other people,
Yes,
have that moment.
absolutely. I will post the link, out in the chat later after this call.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Thank
You
you.
too.